Hey folks, Dr. Mike Israel here for Renaissance Periodization Muscle Gain Dieting Made Simple video number 8. Maintenance phases and mini cuts, the longer term approach for muscle gain. So last time in the last video, we learned about how to create a muscle gain diet and actually run one and execute it hopefully successfully with difficulties and all. Now, when you're done with your muscle gain diet, you're bigger, which is awesome. Mission accomplished, sort of, but you probably experience the situation where your body is new to this level of size and kind of wants to drag you back down to your old weight or closer. And most people will succumb and lose a bunch of weight, lose a bunch of new muscle because homeostasis is a thing and your body just wants you to become normal again. And we're all fighting to not be normal. So what do we do about this? And how do we give ourselves a fighting chance to prevent this? Well, here is the rest of this video. Enter the maintenance phase. Okay. When your muscle gain diet ends, a lot of people make a huge mistake of just going back to eating normally. Or just like, I eat protein because I'm healthy and whatever. And then they lose a ton of weight. You're at a new level. You have to eat more. When you're done muscle gain dieting, you're not done dieting. So step 1, stick to your diet foods, which in muscle gain means lots of really good food. Don't go off plan and lose your momentum. Okay. Your hunger at the end of this process will still be super low. And it's easy to just undereat and start losing gains. That sucks. You just worked for 16 weeks or something like that. Don't lose 4 or 8 of those weeks just because you're not hungry for 2 weeks and you eat barely anything. Step number 2, subtract away 50% of your surplus, which means that you were 3,000 calories at maintenance before you started gaining. At the end of your gain process, you were at 3,500. When your maintenance phase starts after whatever 16 weeks of gaining, go to 3,250. 3,250, it's more calories than your old maintenance, but check this out. You're bigger. And because your body has all these metabolic adaptations, so once you start forcing it to gain weight, it speeds up your metabolism. Not only do you need more calories because you're now bigger, but also you need some more calories, and that 3,250 probably covers it, to make sure you add in for that metabolism. Okay? This is to keep your weight up at wherever you stopped or close, and to keep muscle on your body and not have it slough off. Step 3 is to watch your weight. And if it goes down by any more than about 2%, because after about a week, you deload your lower volumes, you're going to lose some body water. But if it keeps going down after the first week of more than about 2%, add in 250 calories. You might have to do this a few times even. Probably not. But look, if you think, oh my God, I'm so tired of eating, I can't wait for my muscle gain phase to be over so I can eat less, you got to have to have a maintenance phase after, maybe an active rest phase, we'll get to that in a sec, where you purposefully still eat plenty of food. Remember, you signed up for this. You wanted to be jacked. And you've seen other jacked guys before, and you're like, holy fuck, that guy eats a lot. You're one of those guys now. In some respect, you're on that ladder. And the higher you climb up on that ladder, the more food you have to eat. And that does not end. And if you are not a big eater, maybe you're watching this video because you're not, you fall off that ladder every time you let go. You just fall all the way down. You got to grab again and climb back up. I don't want you to let go. So when you gain a certain amount of weight, don't just cut it off and be like, yay, I did it, back to normal. You want to do back to normal? You will be normal again in every respect, including losing a lot of the muscle that you gained. Step number 4, your body is, as the French would say, tired, right? And you're not really sensitive to hypertrophy anymore. You need to heal up. After your last week of gaining, you take your training volume and cut it by half or less, or cut it by half or more rather, for like 2 to 4 weeks. If it's like 4 weeks, you can do sets of 3 to 10 reps. Strength training is really good here. Keeps the volume low, the stimulus pretty high. And the 3 to 10 strength training, 3 to 6 is strength training. And then, 6 to 10 is strength training for isolation movements like bicep curls and laterals and stuff like that. Or you can just do 2 weeks of active rest, which if you see all of our other videos, there's really 2 weeks of just barely doing anything in the gym, resting a lot, taking walks and throwing the Frisbee to the dog, getting lots of sleep, getting lots of good food so your body can really recover and relax and potentiate another great phase of gaining after, hopefully, right? This gives your body a huge break and lets you recharge for more future gaining. If you don't need one of those, it means you didn't train hard enough in your last muscle gain phase and you need to train harder next time. Harder than last time. I made sure to say it. So you're done with the muscle gain phase. You successfully pulled off the maintenance phase and you didn't lose a whole bunch of weight. You're good to go, right? Time to start massing? You could. But what if you're like a little bit over fat? Fatter than you want to be, right? Maybe that will happen to you. Some people stay relatively lean and fuck them. They can just keep going. But in most cases, you want to get rid of some of that old body fat from, potentially up to 16 weeks of gaining. You want to get rid of some of that body fat, if for no other reason, P ratios or whatever, that debate is as yet unsettled, just to give yourself like more runway, right? You like it when you see your abs and you keep nice and lean and nice and fit, and it gives you the sort of metabolic conditioning to be able to do really good workouts. And if you get much fat on that, you start to get out of breath and all this other shit. What you want to do is, like, once you get up to this level of body fat where your workouts kind of start to suck, you want to cut off that body fat so that you can have another, 8 to 16 weeks of gaining after. And that's called a mini cut, purposefully designed to potentiate weight gain later. It's a fat loss diet you would do for about 4 to 6 weeks, right? In most cases, sometimes less, sometimes more. You aim for between 0.5% weight loss per week all the way up to 1.25% a week. That's a shitload. Okay. And that usually scales inversely with duration. So if you're doing like a 2 or 3 week mini cut under some conditions, you might lose 1.25% per week. If you're doing a 6 week mini cut, even 0.5% per week that's 3%. And if you lose no muscle, which is likely, that could be up to 3% body fat that you lose in those 6 weeks. That's awesome. That really clears you a ton to have a really productive massing phase or muscle gain phase after. During the mini cut, train as usual, but with, something like 2/3 or 3/4 of the usual volume, right? You just want to do something anti-catabolic, something that prevents muscle loss. You don't want to gain muscle during a mini cut because there's no nutrients for you to do that with. You're not eating enough by a long shot. Save that volume and intensity for later, for when you're doing a muscle gain phase. And of course, as soon as your mini cut is over, you don't have to, deload and eat normally at maintenance for that week of deload. But after the deload, there's no need to stay at maintenance for longer. Just start getting into that surplus right away and go and get jacked. At this point, you're done. You've successfully gained weight, you've maintained it to solidify it, and you've primed yourself by a mini cut for another muscle gain phase. And here's the thing, if you're as big as you want to be, now the mini cut has actually burned off all the fat you gained, you can just train and eat to maintain and enjoy your beach muscles and all the attention that gets you from the ladies. But what if you want more muscle? What if you want more muscle by a long shot? What if you want the most muscle your body can give you? For that, we turn to our next video. We'll see you then next week.